I'm coming to you today to give you some tips, and as all the stuff that we're going through right now, personal care has become one of those things that sometimes we like to go to other people to handle. This morning I did my roots, covering the grays, and it worked out pretty well. I'm pretty darn happy. But at the same time, there's also some things that a lot of us go for extra help with. Nails, working on that as well. And the other thing, you can maybe tell what's missing. My brows, yes. So I am needing to fill those in. They're very sparse, as you can tell. They almost disappear by about halfway. And so I'm going to give you guys a couple quick tips. Just a couple tips today on how to fill in your brows and even maintain them. If you're like, gosh, I need to be doing some plucking, where do I start? I've got some ideas for you. So first of all, as far as where should they begin, where should your line end, I'm going to use a brow liner to show you. So first of all, the beginning of the brow is right next to your nose. You would lay your pencil or your line, and that's where you want it to start. So you can see I'm about right there. Maybe even make a little mark for yourself, okay? And then through, from the edge of your nose through the iris, again, you can make a little mark for yourself. And then from the end of your nose to the end of your eye, and again, a little mark. So it gives you where your arch is, where it should end, and where it should begin. Now, everybody's different on how full or how thin they look. A fuller brow, for me, for most people my age, it does give that more youthful look. I'd like to not go quite so full as some do, but that's definitely a preference. So I'm just going to use my mirror to the side here, and based on those lines, using our new brow liner, I do love this because they're super fine tipped. And so it's like you can literally draw little hairs in. But I'm going to start at the bottom of that line that I started and just kind of trace the bottom, just to kind of give myself almost a stencil to fill in to that tip, and then come down to my ending dot. Okay, so you can see definitely frames the eyes and makes such a difference. And then you would just flick in the hairs. From here, everything goes up and out, just like the little hairs would. So you want it to look very natural. Fill them in with that. And then from that point down, hairs go down. So that's the natural growth pattern. So you want to follow that same pattern. So you can see that definitely makes a big difference. And then what I take is a spoolie and just brush it out a little bit. Get a little hair on there. Just brush it out, again, up from that line and down a little bit, just to soften it. Okay, that gives it that. If you like it a little more wispy in the middle there, a little fuller, you can pull it in. Okay, so that's one easy way. Another way, if you do not feel comfortable with a liner, you can also do a couple quick steps using a shadow. So you can also take an eyebrow, you can take an eye primer and just putting that all over your brow or your eyes, just like you do for your shadow to stay put. You want your shadow to stay put in your brows better. You would put that brow primer on first, which I already did. And then I go ahead and take the other end of our spoolie, which is a fine lined, fine tipped angled brush. And then I'm just using some espresso. Now, of course, because my hair is brown, almost black, that's what I want, a shade or so, just lighter, just a hair lighter, no pun intended, for the brows. And the same idea here. I just follow again, basically from the bottom up to my arch. And then I go out to my point. Then I brush it out. And again, you can see that it helps you stay within the lines that way. And then you can just flick it up and soften that line, that edge a little bit. Okay, pretty even. It's just a different, just using two different products, so it's totally up to you. Now, one more idea that we have that works wonderful. If you have full brows, I'm the opposite. I have more of a, my cousin taught me this, that because I have low thyroid or hypothyroidism, that's why my brows have, I hardly ever have to pluck. They've kind of slowly, like I said, almost disappeared to about halfway, that I hardly ever have to. And she said that's part of dealing with that. So something you might deal with as well. But if you're the opposite, where you have just very full, thick brows and you need to tame them, then you would go the same idea. Draw your spots so you know where to go, because you don't want to over pluck either. You would comb or brush those hairs up. I used to have to do this. So you would bring them up, and then for those hairs, as you can see, if they're too long for you, you can always take a very fine scissors and clip from the top, and then again, smooth them right back in. And then another way you can do it to tame them, to get them to stay where you're putting, would like to put them, is by using a brow gel. And this is like using a brow mascara or 2-in-1, where it really gets your, as you can see, it's a tiny, tiny, almost a mascara spoolie end to it. So this, you would just, again, try to apply. We got a couple, trying to get it pretty much just on the hairs. And then as that dries, I don't know how much a difference that makes, but once it's dry, then you go back in again with your spoolie, comb it out just lightly if you need to, set it how you want to, and you're done. So I hope that gives you some great tips for maintaining right now, while you may not have your cosmetologist to help you or hairdresser, and can use some of those to help keep your eyes framed and just looking wide awake, even at this time.